sure you watch Predator, not The Predator, you know?
Yeah.
Oh God, don't watch The Predator.
Wish I
It's
could
so
wipe that
bad.
movie from
I
my memory.
know.
Oh
It's
So
my
bad.
God.
I was
good.
so excited. I was
Yeah, me
so
too.
excited because I.
How do you,
How do you go from predators to the predator? I mean,
well, not only how do you go from Predators to the Predator, but how do you go from nice guys to the Predator
Yeah.
Oh,
as Shane
yeah.
Black?
Yeah. Good point. Good point. That is an excellent
like,
Shane Black movie.
I literally saw it for the first time today and was just blown away when someone was like, "Yeah, that's a Shane Black movie," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
I mean, does it take place at Christmas? Come on.
It does, yeah,
Hey,
it's
you're not
true.
wrong.
Prey. Streaming exclusively on Hulu, this 2022 sci-fi action horror film starring Amber Midthunder and Dakota Beavers and directed by Dan Trachtenberg. And we are all people who are desperate to talk about this movie. So, introductions going around the horn. We've got Predator superfan Lady MacBehth. Welcome.
hi.
And Predator superfan Graham Brooker. Welcome.
How you doing, everybody?
And once we move one more square over here, we have Predator superfan Phillip J Woodward. Welcome.
Hey, everybody, how's everyone doing today?
Excellent.
Yeah. And finally, on the ones and twos, I am Joe Mertens. Welcome me. First
Also,
and foremost,
Predator super fan.
apparently, because I'm on this podcast. First and foremost, this is a spoiler cast for this film, and we fully intend to talk about all the cool shit, but we fully intend to give fair warning once the spoiling commences. So to kick things off, top level thoughts, everyone.
That was so good. It was so good.
This movie was fucking fantastic.
Really good.
I say we go in the
Mind-blowingly
order
good.
of the people that were announced. So we start with Lady MacBehth and we go from there. Initial
Okay.
thoughts.
I was a little skeptical, but excited. I like where like humans in games or in movies are more primitive with their weapons, so they don't have I like more stealthy weapons. I like stealthy weapons. Like I liked Far Cry Primal for that reason, specifically because there was no guns. It was all stealth weapons. And so I was excited to see that it was taking place like 300 years ago, and I was excited to see they actually didn't whitewash the cast. I was happy about that. And yeah, just it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It will save the franchise, in my opinion.
I hope so. Yeah, this movie absolutely blew my mind. I mean, I've been a super fan and I'm super forgiving of a lot of things. I even liked The Predator at first when I saw it until I actually had time to let it sink in. But I've watched this movie 4 times now and I'm still seeing new stuff and just falling more and more in love with it and every actor and person attached to it. And I just cannot wait to talk about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely as soon as I heard that this was going to be 300 years ago and it was going to star a cast of indigenous wonderful indigenous actors and actresses, we'll just say actors. And I was a little nervous, honestly, because you're setting it 300 years ago, and that's right when colonization is happening. It's like, are the Native Americans not dealing with enough at this time, in this time period? But then I heard that it was the director. I'm not going to screw up Dan's last name. And I really love 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I think that movie is amazing. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna watch this movie day one, and it blew me away. It was absolutely amazing. The cast killed it. I think they handled the indigenous side of it really well. We got to see a bunch of colonists die, so that was great too. Uh, and it's the most badass I think a Predator movie has been. Period. As far as the Predator is concerned. I don't know if we've seen a Predator get to do as many cool things as they got to do in this movie. I think um Predator 2 is pretty good in that regard, where he's got a lot of cool, unique gadgets that we see for the very first time. But yeah, this movie blew me away.
Yeah, totally have to agree. When I saw that Dan Trachtenberg was attached, I'm like, okay, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Love the hell out of that movie, but it's very contained, right? Also, the short film that put him on the map, Portal, No Escape. Yeah, I was like a little nervous, but also like he's a competent director. What he has done has been good. Then hearing about a mostly indigenous cast, also great for what they're trying to do. Also sitting on all of this until they finally let the cat out of the bag that yes, this is a Predator film that they were going to try to keep under wraps until the film was basically released. They were going to Blair Witch this thing. And, you know, kudos to them for trying, but yeah, awesome.
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah. I would have loved to see how far they could have taken it. But also, yeah, just it has left a very good taste in my mouth after, let's say, 6 films where half of them are pretty great to freaking amazing, and then the other 3 are just kind of like, okay, there's things I like here and there, and that's so yeah. Has it saved the franchise? Yes, it has.
1000%.
On top of
Yes.
being like one of the, well, no, the greatest Hulu release that they've had so far in the history of the platform. This is doing very well for them.
Was The Bear also released on Hulu though?
Believe
Bear's pretty
so.
cool.
Oh no, I mean
it's
as
not as
far
cool
as
as Prey.
viewership.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a number one of anything they've ever put out. This has broken all of their records.
Yeah, I think The Bear has a pretty good tale because it's a show. So they're going to be like, I keep hearing more and more about that show. So it's kind of had like this slow build. It went from like hearing a few people on the internet talking about it to now, like, I don't know if you can walk down the street without somebody mentioning it. But I feel like Prey was just like an explosion from a plasma gun. We needed it, a plasma shoulder cannon.
It made everybody rewatch Predator 2, so
It really
For a
did.
very
It
specific
really
reason.
did.
oh yeah.
I've
And
also
for
loved I've loved the explosion of just like fan art and like excitement that's
Mhm.
come from it. So it's like social media has just been a joy to watch, like, and just like the old cast oozing over the new cast and the support. I just love when everybody loves each other and is like actually cheering something to succeed. So it's
Yeah.
like all that positivity just feels great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good week plus, that's for sure. Yeah, just super encouraging, and would love to see at the very least a comic book sequel to this.
If this doesn't lead into more movies, I will be very, very surprised.
And I do know that Dan Trachtenberg would like to explore that possibility of doing something. It's definitely be interested, and I would think Hulu and Disney at large, they probably wouldn't kick that idea out of bed at this point. This has been a very good week, so yeah. I think
Very interested to see what all of you
sorry,
would
go
be
ahead.
interested in for like sequels.
Yeah. I don't know that we can go into that without heading into spoilers quite yet, but
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're kind of there anyways. We've got our, main top level ideas out there. If you made it this far, okay, spoilers, bro, on the screen right here. That's not actually going to happen, but yeah, let's talk spoilers. Yeah, potential sequels. Graham, what would you like to see?
So I like to go the complete out there route, and I'm all for those 3 ships that come down in the little mid-credit scene and actually picking up Nadu and taking her off planet and accepting her as part of a hunting party and just going like full off the wall with it, as opposed to trying to just like rehash the magic that they captured in this film.
You want that Alien versus Predator 2 comic, don't you?
I do, but I don't necessarily need the aliens in it. I'd be fine with just exploring their culture.
Only
Yeah.
if they take Suri along
Yeah.
with
Of
her.
course.
Yeah. The
I
best
want to know
boy.
more about their culture because, like, we've seen their hunting planet, but we know nothing about their culture, their technology. I know there's two tribes that are fighting, but that's the extent of what we actually know from movie wise. So, like,
Mhm.
I want to know. I want to see their cities. I want to see how they make their technology.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
knowing that
down.
this predator is from a different hemisphere and that's why it looks different is one of those things where it's like, God, why can't we just explore that world?
Also, if we do, is it going to spoil it for us? Like knowing too much,
Sure.
kind of like what Ridley Scott did with the aliens, knowing too much of where they came from.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But Ridley Scott also has a F your lore sensibility about him where he's just like, I don't care what came before. I'm doing something new my way.
Ugh.
Are you telling me there's a better thing that somebody created in a novel and or comic book? Nah, I don't care. It's like kind of like what Star Wars decided to do.
Yeah.
Yep. I would have really liked to see Luke and Leia and Luke go evil and them have twins and
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
have been way better.
Don't call that shit legacy. Come on now.
Yeah.
I lived on those books in the 90s. Come on.
Hell yeah.
Also, Dark Empire. Come on. Oh, I was a Dark Horse junkie. Yeah, as far as sequels, Graham, I gotta say that sounds like what I would like to see as well. Obviously the gun has to make its way to Danny Glover at some point, right? So
Exactly.
and I
Dude.
love that the translator is the character from the comic book that explored the origins of that particular pistol, which I have never read. Perhaps I should pick it up. But
Is that 1715?
yes,
Is that what it's actually called?
yeah, the character is indeed the same name and everything.
Is that
Did you hear
Raphael
this?
Adolini?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you hear the story about how they acquired the pistol for the movie?
Oh,
No.
So they tried really hard to find a prop from Predator 2, but they were just like non-existent. So they thought about making their own. And while they were doing research to make their own, they found someone that had made their own fan recreation down to like the T. And they asked if they could use their pistol for the movie. So that fan's pistol is the one you see on camera in the movie.
That's
So
cool.
cool.
That you get to be part of
Yeah,
being
part
such
of
a
the
big super fan,
universe.
basically. You
Yep.
got asked to be part of the universe.
Yep, exactly.
so,
So neat.
God, that's cool. Oh God, yeah. I would love to see how the gun makes its way to where it needs to get. Um,
Well, they have to collect his body.
Yeah,
True.
yeah,
They have to come collect the body. So I mean, she doesn't get. Yeah.
Yeah, that head's got to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. This is, and also this is definitely pre-tactical nuke in the gauntlet or in the bracer. Right? Because
What
it
if
just
she did the same thing? What if she did the same thing that he did with the hole, and she used his skull?
That'd
As a
be
war mask?
wild.
Oh, that'd be
Mm-hmm.
badass.
God, that'd be
Oh,
terrifying.
it would
yeah.
Could you
fit. It's big
imagine?
enough. Oh my god, that'd be really freaking cool. That'd be really freaking cool.
I did. Speaking of which, I did love the bone mask in this one. I thought it was interesting how it was almost like a half mask instead of a full coverage mask in this one.
It's from Predators. It's the thing, the creature from Predators that was on that planet, the hunting planet.
River
Wait,
ghosts.
is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's dope.
Right?
It's so sad that I just watched that very, very recently, but did not pick that up.
That's
but
so
yeah,
cool.
oh, that's cool. Very cool. So who
I
else
saw,
wants an Amber Midthunder action figure?
Oh, I think everybody. Yeah.
Do you want it with the blood and the like the with
There
the
could be a
predator blood,
variant.
or do you...
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
If it's
I
a
need
statue,
I need the pop.
absolutely.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
God. And for
She's so cool.
anybody,
with Mini
yes,
Dog.
So cool.
yeah, it has to have Suri with, yes, absolutely. And for anybody who has not watched Legion, oh my God, watch Legion. She kicks all sorts of ass in that show.
Is that on FX?
Yes,
It's on
So
Hulu.
would it be on Hulu?
Yeah, it's
probably.
on Hulu. It
Awesome.
was. I
I
don't.
have to
They
check it
might
out.
have taken it away and they might have brought it back.
Okay.
Wouldn't
Let me check
shock
real
me
quick
if
'cause
they
I have Hulu on
moved
my
it
phone.
over to Disney Plus at some point.
True.
Yeah.
It's interesting because my introduction to her is from Roswell, the
Oh.
Netflix reboot of the old show. She plays the little sister in that show, and it's much more like normal, I guess you could say. You know, she's just a regular girl for the most part, a regular woman, and it's so interesting to see her
It's
get
on
to kind
Hulu.
of flex in that way for Prey. Legion
Legion's
on
on Hulu.
Hulu. Watch
Yep,
it.
it's on Hulu. It's really
S-
good.
Such a mind
So
fuck.
I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, I would love if I would love to have Dan get his sequel, like whatever he wants to do. But I would love to have any other person that wanted to take the Predator license and do something like, in the 1800s, in the 1900s, there's some great comics that you can pull from that put the Predator in these different ages of, gunslinging or the Revolutionary War and stuff like that. And I think that could be really fun, untreaded territory for the movies where you wouldn't have to worry so much about what movies came before and kind of adapt your own thing for it.
Yeah, I think there was one that was set in France in World War One. Comic, right?
Something
Oh,
like
that
that,
would be
yeah.
a good one. Set during like one of the world wars.
I remember there was one labeled Cold War, and it took place, and it felt like that was when they did AVP. It was like a jam of Alien vs Predator and Predator Cold War like mixed together.
Yeah.
Did you guys like the new design? Quite
Yeah.
different.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have seen it more. I'm glad they didn't do the, you're ugly joke. I'm glad that wasn't there because we've seen that so many times. But
You are
I would have,
one ugly mother.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I think I would have liked to have seen the Predator a little bit more towards the end of the movie. Because yeah, you don't get like a really good look at it in its final design
Its
like you
neck
do in
was
some of the other
different though.
movies.
Did you
Hmm.
notice that when it was like standing, its neck was like elongated and like more forward.
Yeah.
It was strange.
Yeah, everything about it seemed more elongated than
Yeah.
the classic Predator design for sure.
It's called
Uh,
a feral predator.
hmm.
When I
Okay.
was
So would that mean
reading
it's like
about it,
wild?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Right.
interesting. I wonder. It'd also be interesting to see the technology gap. Like, is the technology gap between this predator and other predators because it's this other type of predator, or is it because of the time, like the fact that it does take place 200 years in the past, 300
I'd
years?
say probably a little bit of both, honestly,
Yeah,
because it makes sense. And I'm wondering if
yeah.
like they are going to come retrieve its body or not because it is feral, which means it might be rogue
Oh,
or like trying to prove itself to be able to go to the hunting grounds, which makes no sense because it has the river ghost head gear, so it's been to the hunting grounds.
yeah. I mean, it could be a completely different. What am I trying to say here? So like each tribe may have its own way of doing things, and maybe this tribe is just different. Because it was the first time we've ever really seen a predator kind of researching, right? Where it was looking at different predators attacking prey. Huh.
Yeah, can we talk about that
Um,
a little bit? Just
Oh yeah.
the fun sequences of seeing this particular predator like starting very small with that snake and just working its way up, observing, and you go from the ant to the little mouse eating the ant to the snake eating the mouse. Okay, now he wipes out the snake. Then he's
The snake
observing.
can see him.
Yeah, the snake that attacked him. Yes.
You could
Yeah.
see
Heat
him.
pits.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Rattlesnakes can see
because
heat.
of heat. Yes, absolutely. That makes sense. And also, what an awesome, creepy little scene of the skinned snake that is still alive.
Yeah.
In its death throes when Naru finds it. Holy shit. That was so
Jumped.
cool.
It got me.
And then
Just
we
because
move
you
from
cut
there.
off its head, you know?
Yeah. Well, Jesus, that was something. And then we move on to, nice little jackrabbit and wolf. And that whole sequence, that the samurai showdown between the wolf
Dude,
Mhm.
and
so Kurosawa.
yup, where that wolf is making what it thinks is its final stand, and then its guts fall out and it falls over. Um,
I had a
you know,
very
we-
big flash to Predators when that happened.
Yes.
That was what it reminded
Yeah.
me of.
yeah, the Yakuza.
Kind of just like a nice homage.
I like how the wolf also got a little bit on. He got a little bite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It felt
Oh,
like
the
almost everything
touch of the
did.
green blood.
Yeah, everything got a bite out of it, which I liked. It showed like I like how the predator is big and bad, but also at the same time it feels like very Steven Seagal-y of where he's untouchable. And so like seeing the animals being able to strike at him and actually hurt him was awesome. Like he is not infallible. It's doable if
Yep,
you're smart.
that bear got in some good licks.
Oh my god, that bear scene was so cool.
Why
It was
was
so
that bear
cool.
so angry?
Why were all the animals so angry?
So
Why was the
angry.
mountain lion?
First
Why
of
was
all,
the bear?
it got shot
Right.
by an arrow. It was having a bad day, right?
I mean, it was kind of angry before that, though.
yeah.
The look on that bear's face with the scars and everything, that bear had seen some shit.
Right.
Like, it had
Okay.
a life before it got to that scene.
Fair. Yeah, I loved the scene of Nara noticing the wind blowing towards the bear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it being very clear, okay, yes, it has her scent, and that's why. And then the snapping bowstring, just because, of course, she got everything wet, just like she was, teasing her brother about earlier in the story. Shout out to Dakota Beavers. This is his very first role, first and
Really?
only
Wow.
role.
Yeah.
He is a
He was
professional musician
amazing.
who has been working at TJ Maxx up until this point.
Oh wow.
He and his family have a band in Nashville. He was born in Arizona. I just read this interview with him, and he's been working at TJ Maxx up until this point.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's
So
crazy.
good for
But it's gonna
him.
be his only role. He's not gonna do anymore.
No, this is his first.
This is his
He
Okay.
doesn't have anything else really on the horizon at this point that we know.
Oh, he
of.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
you
will.
goddamn better believe it.
He was
Oh,
amazing.
my
He's
God.
very attractive, and he needs to be in so much more.
I
And oh my
enjoyed
god, so much more.
I enjoyed the cast, but like outside of Amber Midthunder, like he was definitely the highlight of the movie as far as acting. And I mean, a lot of them didn't get a chance to really do or say anything.
No, I did enjoy the
But the
mother quite a
ones,
bit.
yeah,
I
yeah,
also
she did a lot with a little. For
I
sure.
enjoyed the guy that she beat the crap out of.
Yeah,
Oh, he
With
gets
the red
his.
feathers.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. That scene though, when she just beats the snot out because she grew up with an older brother. She knows how to fight, and she
Mhm.
has nothing to lose, kind of deal. Like that's her mentality because she has to prove herself. So she, like, oh, the down and dirty of fighting and just like smashing his nose. Oh, so good.
Mhm.
It was such a good
I
scene.
I hate his little commenter. Oh, you need a leash for your weapon, and it's like, motherfucker, I just invented the rapid fire hatchet.
which I mean, that hatchet is almost like a superpower, right? Like,
Oh yeah, the fact that
guess-
the handle did not snap.
yeah, and it was so easy to get out of the trees when she'd throw it into it and stuff. Just like a little flick of the wrist. It was great. It made me so happy.
This
but,
movie was a video game.
Well,
Yeah.
so that's
And
actually
yeah.
what I was gonna say. Is there was a tweet from Dan like back in January of this year where he said, "When you see Prey, you'll notice that I had a lot of inspiration from God of War."
Oh yeah.
And I had not seen that tweet since
It makes sense.
until after I watched the film. And so there were two big things. Something that I didn't even really think about until someone pointed it out. But I retweeted that and said, "Oh, this makes so much more sense now." And then someone was like, "Why?" And then I posted a picture of female Kratos with like an axe, with the Leviathan axe. And then later on in the thread, someone posted a picture of the Kratos shield, and I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't even think about it. The Predator has a Kratos
Right.
shield."
Opens right off the forearm.
From
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool.
So pretty great.
But yes, just video gamey in that things are leveling up throughout the
Yeah.
course of this film for both the Predator and for Naru. And just it works. Fucking works.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
No, it
her
was great.
dog. I love the dog.
Yes,
I
let's
love
Yeah,
let's
the
talk
dog.
Sudi.
about story.
I'm so,
Sudi
I'm
was
so,
great.
I'm so glad the dog didn't die.
Oh, me too.
That
I
That
was
first
dog
I
yelp
gave
when it
me
gets caught in the
heart
trap.
palpitations.
Oh God, I'm glad. I know it was like a little bit of a cop out, honestly, when he got his tail caught in the trap, not a leg or something like that,
right.
because they needed him. So it felt a little bit of a cop out, but like still also like it makes you immediately attached to the dog of like, no, why is the dog hurt? And then it shows like her medicine skills and everything
Mhm.
and how much the dog trusts her, because normally, like even if it's your dog will try to bite you sometimes if it's hurt and you're trying to help it, it will panic. Her dog didn't. The dog just like let it happen. It was just didn't run off, didn't do anything, just sat there and was like, and they also chose a very specific dog breed that was a descendant, like that's the dog breed that's a descendant of those dogs and during that time. So like that was really cool.
I think it's a Dakota dog,
Yeah.
and she's a rescue.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Her
Yeah,
name
she
was
was
Coco.
rescued 2 months before.
That's so
It was a Carolina dog.
wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Evidently she called Coco a little bit of a hot mess, but in a sweet way.
You wouldn't be able to tell. You wouldn't be
No.
able to
Mhm.
tell.
I
It was
absolutely
amazing.
loved how almost everything that happened throughout the entire course of this movie, from like beginning shot, there's just foreshadowing to
Yeah.
foreshadowing to foreshadowing. Like
Hmm.
the threads that connect every little thing that happened to make sure that you can't, like, I don't really like to nitpick any movie for loopholes, but I can't find any in this movie whatsoever.
Yeah, everything had its place. The only thing that I was a little annoyed by was when she fell into the pit.
Mhm.
Because depending on how long they've been settled there, like they would know almost every inch of that terrain.
Yep.
So it was very strange for her to not only fall into it, but not see the signs that it existed.
Although they talked
But
about not going beyond a particular landmark.
Ridge
And
line or something like that.
yeah, and
I
maybe
just
eh,
it was one of those things where I didn't really know or feel like it had been established that, oh, did we lose Beth?
oh, she is a little
Might have
frozen.
lost Beth. Um, but yeah, I didn't really notice that
Good.
she had gone that far out, is what I was gonna say. Hey, you're
Yep,
back.
she's back.
Okay.
Okay.
I started noticing you guys were lagging, so I switched it from Wi-Fi to my hard line. So I had to grab it off my PlayStation, like Jordan. My
Freaking
roommates
funny.
are home, so like they're using my internet.
Fair. Fair. Yeah, that didn't bother me too much, but eh, yeah, I do like that everything is intentional in this film. Everything you
Yeah.
are introduced to will be a callback for something else later in the film. And not in any way a bad way, as far as I was concerned. It all played out so beautifully. This is
So
such a well put together little run.
The
talking about
foreshadowing was perfect in a way to where it wasn't blatantly obvious how it was going to be used. I liked
Yes.
that. Because
Agreed.
normally you can immediately call like that's going to be happening just like this. They showed you the instruments, but they did not give up too much of how those were going to be used.
yeah, I thought it was really interesting that this showed the Predator had a very heavy reliance on its technology because it was an extremely bad shot without the aid of
Yeah.
its technology.
Mhm.
And I don't think that was something where they were like, "Oh, we want to stormtrooper it." I literally think that it had just no or too much reliance on its technology. I think it has never had its mask off when using that arrow gun.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a correlation between her character and her wanting to prove herself and the predator character and going rogue and because it's a feral predator going rogue and possibly being so inexperienced in the way that she is kind of deal, you know?
Could be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because that's why it might not be that because it was a terrible shot. It was a terrible shot. Like
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
not good.
obviously it could fight. Obviously it knew, hand-to-hand techniques and could utilize its technology really well. But yeah, when it came down to actually firing unaided, it was just real bad. And it didn't think about what ramifications that could have because, we saw what happened at the end of the movie.
He gets messed up through this movie.
Yeah.
Oh
Like
yeah.
every interaction, he comes out battle damaged.
Yep.
Um,
I loved how well her companions through the film held their own. Like they
Yes.
could have made it to
Mhm.
where they immediately all died off because they were like, "Oh yeah, the guys, they talk too much crap." And like, no, they knew what they were doing as well. They kicked ass. Those guys kicked ass.
As much as they could.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was a great little fight, though.
But they
Um,
underestimated the predator just like they were underestimating her, and I think that was their downfall.
And it was nice because even she kind of underestimated the predator in a way. There were moments and times where she tried to go head on and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not like it wasn't like an Arnold situation where they made uh him almost on the same level as the predator in a way. Instead it was something where nobody could stand up to the predator physically, but mentally someone was able to make a stand.
Tabe
Speaking
gave
of,
him a run
oh,
for his money.
What's that?
Tabe gave him a run for his money before he
he
disappeared
did.
Yep.
and cheated.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of Arnold, we should talk about a few of the callbacks to prior films. Obviously, the gun. We've
Mhm.
beaten that horse to death at this point. But
I still can't get over that they linked it. It blows my mind because Predator 2 is not like super well received. It's not like anyone out there is going to put that. Some people would probably maybe put it as their number two Predator movie, depending. But I feel like a lot of people, talk about how inferior that movie is to Predator, and so the fact that they put a reference to it in there, it's just so amazing to see.
yeah,
I
we
loved
had
Predator too. I don't
Yeah.
understand why everybody hated it.
I agree.
it,
I
it was
agree. I
just too
don't know.
different from the first one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
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 I
again,
think that was the problem. People just wanted
yeah.
more of the same. They really did.
I
They
was
wanted
like,
Arnold.
I was like, what, 6 or 7 when those movies came out, so I was just having a blast.
Mhm.
Right?
The good old
Yep.
days of Fangoria magazine teasing Predator movies coming out.
Right. We had the fun slice across the chest, just like Billy in the original movie. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yep.
It
The
just
losing of the
that.
arm.
Yup. Yup. Seriously, I got so hyped with the "if it bleeds, we can kill it" line. I was like, yeah, let's fucking go.
And then Anaru evidently said, do it now. And it was a
Yeah.
Yep.
direct, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Do
it
it.
was
Do it
it
now.
obviously wasn't in the Arnold like cadence, but it was
No.
the exact dialogue.
Yeah.
Mud
Um
pit.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
And I like how they did that to subvert expectations because
Yep.
it's like as that's happening, the Predator's kind of like a few steps behind her. And it's like, oh, she's going to fall in the mud. She's going to discover this is how she can be invisible. Nope. Then she just gets clean. And it's
Yep.
just to
No,
wet the bowstring.
I loved that as well. I liked how they could have done the exact same thing. I think didn't Predators do it as well? Um,
Unnecessarily.
right? um,
I like the
and yeah,
introduction of the plant.
Yes.
Mhm.
Orange
That
Tutsia.
was, yeah, was brilliant. It made them cold.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see um how it affected her versus how it affected the people that were injured. Like I really want to know more about that herb now as far as its relation because obviously it's probably a little Hollywoodized in the sense of what it actually does to a person, especially depending on amounts and what's going on. But when she gave it to people, they were like shivering and
Mhm.
convulsing and like
They're also going through
uh
shock though because they were hurt.
right. And that's what I was wondering is it because she wasn't injured at all? She didn't really have the negative side effects. It just cooled her body temperature.
She was probably freezing and cold, but she also had her adrenaline rushing at the same time with survival with the fight or flight thing. So honestly, it probably was happening, but she was already shaking probably because of the adrenaline. So like the shivering and the shaking were probably just that.
Yeah, it's just
Plus, women have a fat layer on their bodies that keeps us warmer than men.
insulation.
Yep. Because, like with
Um
Navy SEALs, they learned that men would stop shivering when they're in the water and women would not. They continued to
hmm,
shiver because the fat layer on our stomachs and everything. So they were able to stay longer in the water.
interesting. Um
Speaking
yeah,
of the
the
cooling down with the orange tootsie, the scene towards the end where she takes it and she's got the leader of the French fur trappers there as bait, and she's just dressing him down like crazy, even though he can't understand a word she says. And the predator steps up behind her, and she does that slight little
Oh
step to the
god,
yep.
side because she can feel
so
him
cool.
coming. And then when he swings his weapon, she leans back just enough to get out of the way, and it catches that little touch of her hair,
Yep.
falls to the ground. It's ooh, it took me a while to catch that bit of the hair falling. Just the sheer badassery in that moment was.
I was actually curious on your opinions because I've watched it a few times and I was trying to figure out, and I still haven't made a full decision on whether she, when she's giving that like monologue at the end, is she talking to the Frenchman or is she monologuing it like she would be talking to the predator, not acknowledging her as a threat? And it's like, because it's kind of like double
I think
entendre
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
everybody she's had to deal with in that
through the
Hmm.
entire
entirety of her
movie.
life.
It's just everyone. It's just all culminated to this moment.
That
This is the
works.
moment where
Works.
she's not going to
Yeah.
move.
And I do really enjoy the sadistic look of glee in her eyes when he gets beheaded.
Yeah.
It's just like that little eye flare and smile. It's just like, one
Oh,
day.
her realization of you're the ones that killed the buffalo. And just
Oh
like
my
that
god.
anger, just that
Mhm.
anger. She's just like,
Yeah, that whole field where it's like literally just mangled corpses, the entire field is just
the honor that
so
she
rough.
plays too, like that
Mhm.
when she put on, yeah, that was I liked that a lot.
Now, something that I think is interesting is there's a point in the movie where she talks about another like a monster from her culture, and she
Hmm.
thinks that that's what the predator is.
Whoopies.
And yes, and there's a moment at the very beginning of the film where they say a long time ago it is said a monster came here, and it makes me wonder, like, so does that mean that the the monster's been here before? um
Well, it makes sense because in the first Predator movie, the Colombian woman, she's Colombian, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
It's been
she
a while.
talks about the stories passed down from her people and everything of those aliens, those
Right.
predators. Yeah, so it makes sense that the same storyline would be passed down in a different way and being like their boogeyman of sorts.
Yeah. um
I don't
so
know if
yeah,
we
it's just
count it
really
as
cool.
canon at this point, but in Alien versus Predator, of course, we have this temple that's in the Antarctic that's been there for obviously a very long time. So, um, that's there's fun bits in that movie. It's such a steaming.
Yep.
Um,
i saw I
I
saw a
love that they
clip
brought
from
back
it.
the net though.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw a clip from it today, and I was just looking at the predator and I'm like, why does he look like a cartoon character?
Yeah,
Everything
so
looks
like
like a
Predator look
cartoon character.
Well, it was PG-13.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's your answer.
That's
And
true.
Why
then
they
in Requiem, you can't actually see anything.
See,
so, you know.
you can't
Ah,
see
Oh my
anything
God.
anyway. So
It's so dark. I
Badass
tried
Predator
rewatching
in that
it.
movie,
I
though.
tried rewatching it because I remember when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, this is better than the other one." And I tried rewatching it, and I turned it off halfway through, and I was like, "Oh, this is so terrible. It's
I
so
felt
not good."
I felt that way as well the first time I saw it, but it's almost more just like a weird slasher film than a Predator film.
Yeah,
But there are still some cool moments as far as
and
the,
like
the
Covenant,
Predator weapons and
just like Covenant. Covenant is just a slasher film in space, and not in space, on a different planet. It's
At least it's
not.
quite a bit
Why-
more competent film.
Yes,
I'm
with a
you know
well acted.
well acted, more competent film, sure, but they still make really poor decisions. Like, why aren't they wearing their masks when they hop onto a brand
Oh,
new
it's the same
planet?
complaint of
Oh!
Prometheus.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
wait. There's oxygen. It's fine. It's fine. Ripley would never. She refused to let them on the stinking ship. She would never. She'd be like, "Put your fucking
Right.
masks on. You ain't coming back on the ship if you don't put your mask. Like if you don't keep your mask on."
It's so crazy that the same person made Alien, and Prometheus and the Covenant or Covenant. Like, it blows my mind.
Well, you
I
got
feel
to
like he
remember,
just Stephen Moffat it.
Ridley Scott is very much a gun for hire. He doesn't really have his own specific style. Look at all of his films. They are all so different from each other. He can do anything, really. And he is a really, at least visually, a stunning director. But yeah, I think everybody got their heads, too far up their own asses with these prequels. As much as I love Prometheus, I really do, but it's a bunch of very smart people doing stupid things.
I'm more like a Prometheus apologist, just because it's
Same.
one of those things that I absolutely wanted, but what we got wasn't what I wanted necessarily.
There was good points, but cool little sequences. But why? Just run to the side. Run to the side. Run to the side. Run to the side. Run to the side.
Making the space jockeys like Jesus was really weird.
Yeah. They evidently, so Jesus was they cut it out, but Jesus was one of them, and they killed him. So that's why they wanted to wipe out humans. Yeah, that was the original plot.
Yeah.
That was the original plot.
Yeah,
they cut it out. That was the plot.
So not only did the space jockeys create life on Earth, and who knows how many other planets. Yeah, at one point, one of the space jockeys came in like Jesus and was crucified, and they got angry, and then that's why they were sending this biological weapon to Earth, but it never made it. So that was the original thing.
Pay for creativity.
Ooh. So the artwork at the end of the film was all done by where was it? I was reading this. Where was it? It was actual oh my god. And indigenous people actually did it. It was an artist. Where is it? Oh my goodness gracious, I will find it.
That's very cool though.
Here it is. Animated end of title sequence, which alludes to the next chapter of the story. The credit sequence was made by top award-winning Native American artists in hide art, painting with animal hides to be more period accurate.
That's so cool,
right?
Oh my god!
This is very much representation of the movie in the best ways possible, and I'd love to hear that.
Like I said earlier, I was so nervous when they first announced it, and then after seeing the film, I'm so happy because it's weirdly enough, a film about a random hunting alien is some of the best indigenous representation that the community's had in forever. Besides maybe Reservation Dogs.
I haven't started that yet. I want to start watching that so bad. I've watched clips and it's amazing what I've seen.
I think this might actually spark more interest for that, because it should be a jumping off point for people to really just start absorbing more indigenous media.
Yep.
And I do want to say thank you to Jane Myers, the producer on the film. She's part of the Comanche Nation. Like you can feel her touch and authenticity all over this movie, and I'm so proud that like for once a studio like actually let it go that way. Like they just stopped it like short by not letting it be fully in the Comanche language, but everything else feels so authentic and inclusive. I think even one of the secondary like Predator stuntmen is an indigenous actor trying to get into stunt work. So it's just like all those little tidbits just make it so much more awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, especially in a place where, you know, a lot of indigenous actors get just kind of typecast as something in film. Uh, as much as I enjoyed the movie Fresh, also a Hulu original, there's like just this random indigenous character who's kind of like a bodyguard for one of the other characters, and just no lines, just randomly in there to look intimidating. Just
We have a long way to go for a lot of things still,
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Uh,
I mean, I don't want to get on it too
However,
much. The negative conversations from the
yeah.
small sect of people in this media consumption world with the W word, I
Oh,
like they were really grasping at straws on this one. I was like, you can't do it.
yeah, I agree. Also, though, check out Fresh. It's written and directed by some amazing women, and it's got some really fun ideas in it.
I need to start that over again. Started it before I had to go out and do something else and just never got back to
Did you get to the title sequence?
it. I honestly don't. All
Okay,
I
yeah, you
remember is
definitely need to
somebody
start
being
it
on a
over.
horrible, horrible date.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, you absolutely need to rewatch that movie. The beginning of this movie is kind of like a bad romantic comedy. And it's like
Mhm.
modern dating essentially from a woman's perspective.
For
And
the briefest of moments, I thought that you were talking about Prey as a bad romantic comedy,
oh
I
and
did
no.
too.
that could be interesting as well. But but
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, no, Fresh.
I absolutely remember, at least insofar as the two main characters being there, they shooting the shit. And then
If you
that's it.
like you know, I don't want to spoil anything in the movie. If you like the Winter Soldier and you know, the lead actress, I'm blanking, I'm so bad with names, I'm blanking on her name right now, but they're both great in the movie. And all the side characters are great. It has one of my favorite moments I've seen in a movie in a really long time. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, check out Fresh. It's also a Hulu original. I just think it's nice to throw it in here since we're talking about the best most viewed Hulu original. Give some love out there to some of the other Hulu originals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in a month, speaking of, in a month's time, we get another season of The Handmaid's Tale, as we're currently living through
Oh
the prequel.
God. We don't
uh,
even need episodes. We're almost living in it day by
Yes.
day at this point. Ugh.
But back to Prey. Was anyone else thinking quite fondly of this little
Oh yeah.
film as they were watching
Oh yes.
The Last of the Mohicans, this Michael Mann epic that he gave us either the year before or the year after Heat? Um, and they're very, very different films, but I have always loved this movie, but the score in particular made me think of this film. And then Graham, you had mentioned some of the shots of them, you know, moving up, you know, mountainsides and so on and so forth. Yeah, um, some fond memories of that film for sure.
What's the girl that did the soundtrack? What's her name? Sarah uh, somewhere Schachner. Um, I was like, she did Assassin's Creed Valhalla before this, and
Oh,
Dan was playing the game and heard it and was like, I want that person to do the soundtrack for this movie.
Yes.
that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And I was like, that is awesome. And the
I,
score in this movie is beautiful.
oh
And
yeah.
you can hear the hints from like Last of the Mohicans and like the end sequence. I swear to God, you can hear a little John Williams Jaws in there. All these little touches are just so cool.
do we know like why Dan has only made like 2 big films?
I have no
Because
idea.
as far as I know, 10 Cloverfield Lane was critically acclaimed. I don't know if it did very well at the box office, but like I don't know anybody that's seen that movie and thought it was, even remotely bad. And then this movie, which is obviously blowing up, like I love the fact that I started following Amber Midthunder when she was at like 2,500 followers on Twitter, and now she's got like over 50,000 or something, and it's so
Wow.
cool to see how much this movie has blown these people up as far as love, adoration, and it just shows that representation matters, and seeing yourself in a character is huge, and the fact that there's so many people out there that are finally getting to see themselves in this character, or in these characters, is just awesome.
Yep.
Uh, Part of like I know in watching interviews with Amber, I know she's like very, very selective about anytime she's like offered a role where she's playing like an indigenous person in a time period because it wants to be done that way. And I'm wondering if maybe Dan just doesn't want to do movies that don't click with him for the sake of doing movies. Because for him to only do two, like this movie, besides just being fun and awesome, is beautifully shot. Like the camera work is
Yeah,
a
Mhm.
very
let's
competent
talk about that
director.
cinematography.
Yeah.
Gorgeous, fucking gorgeous, and the overhead drone shots with the match cuts
Hmm.
Yeah.
when she's leaving home to go off on her mission. I could watch that over and over with the score swelling underneath. And
I'm curious if, like, because the burnt out part of the forest where there's a forest fire and all those all the matchstick I'm wondering if that was CGI or if they found an old burn and did a drone and everything like that. That I really want to know about, because that'd be really awesome if they actually found an old burn somewhere, which I wouldn't surprise me. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many old burns everywhere, especially where they were filming. There's probably a lot of them.
yeah, God, I'm dying for some awesome extras on like a nice 4K disc of this.
Please, yeah, please. Can we
Commentary
get
tracks, special
Mhm.
features. I want it
Mhm.
all.
The scene with the snow.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it was weird because normal they set up. Another reason why I think this is a rogue predator, and it was like an unsanctioned hunt, in my opinion. I think it's an unsanctioned hunt. Because everyone's saying like it's the first time that the predator was ever at Earth. No, 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 no. This is definitely not the
I
first
don't
time they were at
believe it.
Earth. Especially with the Antarctic thing and like the way that like the pyramids were all done, like the Aztecs and the Mayans and all of that. Definitely not the first time they were on Earth. I think this was an unsanctioned hunt because of what they talked about in the first movie and the second movie. They come during the hottest part of the year, or one of the hottest years on record. And even the girl in the first movie, the Colombian woman, what is her name? She
Anna.
even said they only come on the hottest year to make it harder for them to hunt because they have infrared heat. So it's more of a sport. It was snowing. But when he came, at the end, it was snowing. So it's just like, and there was no mention of a heat wave, nothing.
Yeah,
So it
and
makes me think it was not a sanctioned hunt.
I actually really like that theory. That's a really well thought out exposition as to why it could be a rogue hunt.
Because even in the second film, he's like, oh, this heat wave. They talked about the heat wave
Right.
a
Mhm.
lot in the second one.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously in Predators, it was on a planet that was tropical,
Yep.
so extremely
Mhm.
hot, and it seems like it's
And
that way all the time. And then of
yeah,
course there's the Predators, which whatever, or the Predator, which is whatever.
we ignore that. It doesn't exist.
But as we know in that movie, that wasn't even about a hunt. That was
No.
about you know the fact that humans were researching on predators and all this other stuff. It
I've
was
wiped that film from my memory.
yeah.
I don't even remember the plot. Like literally, I wiped that film from
Yep.
my memory. It was
Yep.
that bad. I remember
Wasted cast too.
like Key or Pal, which one? I remember he's in that, and
Yeah,
the guy
Key.
from Logan, I think, was in it.
Boyd
The
Holbrook.
blonde
Yeah.
dude.
Boyd Holdbrook.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keegan Michael Key was the one.
Yeah.
I
Go
don't know a
watch
couple
Outstanding.
other
Boyd and the
people.
Sandman right now because he kills it in that.
Oh, dude, that show is so good.
Yeah, it is.
Um, I was to your point, Beth, the one thing I'd ask is, so do you think that the ship that drops him off, do you think he just like hops out? Or I was wondering if he was sent on like a reconnaissance mission, or if this predator
Maybe.
is like almost like one that they sent out like a scout dog to like observe planets for the first time because he's a little more feral.
Maybe because he is a different type of predator
Yeah.
too. With the elongated neck, definitely a different tribe. 100%. So,
And
like we've seen the big boys, we've seen the smaller boys. His body structure was different.
we definitely see it doing things we've never really seen predators do before, which is
Mhm.
like we were talking earlier, observing the environment, watching predator and prey.
Working up that
Um,
chain.
Yeah.
right.
Mhm. Yeah, he was moving up the chain too.
Yeah,
And
and
then I did read
was
on Twitter there was the concept designer Michael Vincent. If you guys want to look into it, he does a whole deep dive on like how this predator is from a different like atmospheric pressure on the primary planet. That's why he looks different, has different structures. Like he really went into this whole deep dive on why this thing looks different, which I thought was awesome. So you guys should definitely check that out if you haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
His
yeah, I
neck
will.
still weirds me out. It reminds me I can't it reminds me of some other alien with like a longer like and I can't remember what movie it's from. I want to say like Fifth Element or something like that, but it's not that. Like it's just the elongated because it's a really thick and big neck and it just juts forward just enough to where it looks like he has a back problem. Like
Man,
you
Or
know
at
what
least he probably
like
should.
one of the arms back there. Yeah, like but like
has has
even his
everyone or
dreads were different. His dreads
yeah,
were different
thinner.
too.
They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
Yeah.
way
Thin
thinner.
and slick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely, that was like one of the most glaring things before we really knew what it looked like. I was like, why are its dreads so different?
Plus, it uses more camouflage plates than armor plates. That's
Yeah.
why he was
Yeah.
camouflaged all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and the camouflaging was better technology than it was for the other predators, I think, in my opinion, because it wasn't. It was less faulty because he kept getting messed up,
Yeah, and it still
Mhm.
kept working.
and him
Did
drenching himself in blood was very unusual for me. For the like, the other ones didn't really do that. Like
well
they were hunting. Then like the feral thing makes more sense as well for me with that of like lifting up the bear and just he was taking a bath in the blood.
in
He was
Predator
taking a bath.
1, didn't water like short circuit
Hmm.
the camouflage a bit? So I mean, drenching yourself in blood would have a similar
Right?
effect, I think. So
So
yeah, that
maybe this tribe created the camouflage and the other ones kind of ripped it off a little bit or something like that.
yeah.
Or maybe they utilize the camouflage better. And the scout thing might be right up that alley. You're talking about being a scout because the more camouflage versus armor. Maybe he was just living vicariously and he was like, I could do what they do. Even though he's supposed to be scouting.
Yeah, so that was gonna be my next question is was his goal ever to actually hunt? Or did that just become part of what happened? Because I'm trying to think. You've seen the film numerous times now, Graham.
Mhm.
Did it ever feel like he was hunting at all as far as the humans? Because in the original films, it was always about hunting the humans. It wasn't about these lower lower end predators. It was always about the humans. And obviously there's 300 years in between, so they could have just identified the apex predator and that's what they decide to hunt. But do you ever feel like he was hunting in this movie?
Well, I always felt like as he was kind of going like up the food chain, which is symbolized in this movie in various different ways.
Right.
But it's like, it's like he fights the wolf and it's like every time he gets damaged, it's kind of the apex. And then he notices her and he kind of follows her and that's where he runs into them. But even then he's still just observing until he watches them fight and then he notices they have weapons and then he engages them and then he follows her and then there's always that subtext of like it's not like he's hunting her, it's more like he's following her because he doesn't see her as a threat yet and she keeps leading him into these things. But the one part that I didn't fully get was when she's hunting the mountain lion and she's on the branch, there's obviously an explosion in the distance that's from the predator, and I assume that's supposed to be like off screen, that's when the Frenchmen run into him for the first time.
I think you're right.
But
I
then why
was
wouldn't it keep hunting the Frenchman and be
With
deterred and
guns.
finds the bear and everything? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I
well,
mean,
and
they
what
weren't very far apart from each other. He
Yeah.
would have been able to hear the gunshots shooting the buffalo and everything else. Why wouldn't he see them as the predator, like their his new prey or whatever, versus her and the rest of like?
Yeah.
I don't
yeah,
know.
I actually thought
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
I was just gonna say real quick. I actually thought that that explosion was caused by the French because there was no indication that this predator had really any explosive weaponry.
Yeah.
Is that what that little
Just
forest fire section was? That explosion? Because it
Ah,
was still
could
smoky, and that was a fresh burn because there was no regrowth. And the regrowth happens, speaking from experience with firefighting, regrowth happens really quickly. That was a very fresh burn. Very
Hmm.
fresh burn.
yeah, and this whole film takes place over a matter of like 3 or 4 days too. It's uh, things are not drawn out. I think the buffalo could have already been skinned, even days prior, because they were just sitting there rotting, right?
Right.
It,
Yes.
so yeah, I mean that could have been the French trappers that it was interacting with. We talk about just the slightly more primitive predator weapon as well. Because it doesn't have the plasma cannon.
Nope.
It only has the little spear gun thing, which is kind of like a rail gun, which is pretty
Yeah.
damn cool.
The way the
Yeah.
arrows
With
just
targeting,
float.
with
So
targeting.
cool.
But also it doesn't have the tactical nuke in the bracer. No,
Mm-mm.
instead it's these little floaty explosive things.
The little
Yeah,
Um,
the
discs.
weird discs, yeah.
Which maybe they weren't so much explosives because I think they were the thing that she found on the bottom of the guy's severed leg where it springs back up into almost like a blade.
Snap
That
bracelet.
was yeah.
Which did you notice when he gets his leg cut off?
I guess I
What do you
missed that.
mean?
So in the whole like burnout, like when the Predator's fighting all the Frenchmen, they show Raphael leaning against a tree, and then it goes back to the Predator kind of just going through a couple French guys, and then you see in the background Raphael goes around the tree and shoots and then goes to run away. So he takes out the snap bracelet and throws it, and it cuts off his leg in the background. And that's why he shows
Oh.
up to her and it's still
Gotcha.
embedded in his leg.
I wonder if
Gotcha, I
she
got it.
used that to cut off the other guy's leg, not her hatchet.
Exactly.
Probably.
It would have been cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, him waking up to a missing leg.
Yes, and the rats gnawing
having it
on him.
eaten.
Oh my
Mhm.
god.
That's what woke him up.
Yep. Love that.
Oh god.
Another
I'm
weird example of predator and prey.
I'm
Mysterious
very intrigued of
scavenger.
why. Like I know, but there was blood everywhere. Why was he following the blood trail to the foot? Like that makes me think that he is an inexperienced hunter. Like it just.
I took it as like it's the same reason why after he healed himself in the burnout, he followed Raphael's leg trail of blood to his body. Because they even kind of showed that when he's cold on the ground, the predator just kind of tracks to his location by the blood on the ground and then accidentally steps on the poor man.
Yeah.
It was so
So
close
good.
to getting
I think you
It
away.
can
was so
clearly
good.
see him. He just notices that he's cold, so he
He
thinks
heard
cold,
the
yeah.
heartbeat.
dead.
Yeah, he heard the heartbeat.
Ah, okay. I missed that.
Yeah. He heard the heartbeat because like he could hear it and he could still hear the heartbeat and he heard his breath as well. So he knew he was faking. That's why I was worried about like her, like you doing that as well. I was wondering, okay, is he gonna hear her heartbeat and everything? And like, yeah.
Yeah, see, I took it as he heard it and he was like, "Oh, he's dead. He's gonna die." Like his heart rate's slowing down, his body's cooling. He's almost dead. So I don't
Maybe
need
he
to
was
worry
just
about him anymore.
he's also inexperienced. He probably was just pissed and was like, die. Die faster.
He also just gets shot in the head. So I don't think
Yeah.
he's thinking super straight in the final battle.
Yeah, that's true too.
Dude, when he killed her brother,
Oh, I cried.
I was so heartbroken. I was like, no, I know it was gonna happen, but no.
Yeah. I appreciate the sacrifice, but also really didn't want it.
Right?
Because he was so good.
He knew it was going to happen too. He knew he was behind him. He knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
When I watch it today, because I turned the stereo system all the way up, it's like when he's there and they're kind of surveying, you hear like a snap branch of a step behind him, and then he gets that look and he knows it's behind him. And I noticed a few more times on this fourth watch that they do that kind of predator hunting grounds effect with the camouflage, where if the predator stays completely still, it becomes 100% invisible.
Mhm.
And when it moves is when it starts to get that like hexagon pixelated look to
Mhm.
its camouflage. I was like, that's so cool.
They
bring it
added a
home.
bunch of new stuff to
Bring it
Predator
home.
Hunting Grounds.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that game. I'm definitely willing to go back into it. It
I
was
will go in.
great. Dude, I'm actually really I think like the beta better than the game. 'Cause the beta was amazing. And they
I
changed
thought
it just slightly, and I was just like a little bit less of a good game, but still a lot of fun.
I
So
thought launch was okay. It's like a few patches in, it just the balancing felt just completely crazy.
Yeah.
But so going back to Predator technology, we get to see the Predator clean a skull like we have in the past,
Mhm.
but it's very different than we've ever got to see before.
it's not as good.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask is how did you guys feel about this kind of I don't know if it was because, special effects are in a much different place now, or it's a different breed of predator, or it's like we were talking about, like maybe it's not like a hunter, or it's a rogue hunt, so maybe he didn't have the same tools. But anyway, um, how did you feel about that trophy cleaning scene?
It felt a little bit like the super gimmicky evidence eraser shit from Requiem. Leave no evidence. It, like a combination of that, and on the better end, the super buffing and polishing of the skulls in Predator 2.
Vacuum.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it literally, you're right. It did feel like a mixture of those two things. That's funny.
Oh, it was not clean. Not in any way
Yeah.
clean. I
No.
love how he just pops the skull on the side of his his get up there.
Which comes back later again.
Yep, because Tabe, don't count him out yet.
That was awesome.
Yep.
That was so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I am so jealous of that man's hair.
Oh yeah.
I was like, everybody in this movie is beautiful.
Right?
I'm just like, I'm so jealous of everybody. It's just,
They're all such gorgeous human beings. Oh
I
my
know,
god.
It's just like, holy
Yep.
hell.
Yep.
No.
And sufficiently hideous French trappers.
Very hideous and smelly looking. Like
yes.
oil and
Mm-hmm.
God, the green blood that
the
she
war
puts on
paint
her
at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as she
So
becomes the war chief.
Yep.
Which is I was really emotionally taken up by both her scream at the end, but then when she's just swaying and they're all singing and like the music's crescendoing, like it was very emotional ending.
Oh yeah.
Like I didn't think I'd get that like sucked into it from like the feeling standpoint. I was ready to be entertained. I thought it was going to be really good in that aspect, but I got really sucked in by these characters and emotionally attached to them.
The family
It's like,
aspect.
Yeah.
They did it perfectly. It wasn't campy, it wasn't overdone, it was realistic.
So something that was pointed out was the scars on Naru and
Mhm.
the brother's shoulder was to signify their father. But what I didn't realize is that was it you, Graham, who pointed out that they make a second cut at the end of the movie?
yeah, when she's holding the stick, right underneath the cut for the father is a new cut, and I was like, Dan never answers any tweets, but I'm just like, you're gonna say all this in a commentary one day, but I swear to God, she comes back with a new cut that's either very conveniently placed, or it's to signify Tabe and the loss of him as this new scar on the body.
Yeah, that's I didn't realize that. And I need to go watch the film for a second time.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again tonight.
I'm
You're making me want to rewatch it again.
I
so
wish I
badly.
had time. Work comes fast,
Oh.
right.
but
Yeah.
I think when I do go in for the fourth viewing, I'll do that Comanche dub just for shits and giggles. I need to see how that plays out.
Mhm.
The cool thing about the Comanche dub is that all the times that they speak Comanche and it doesn't get subtitled in the English version, they
Cheater.
subtitle in the Comanche version, so you get to hear all those extra words and what she's saying.
Ah.
And when he goes
That's cool.
invisible, Tabe screams, "Cheater!"
Mhm.
And I was just like, "Damn right, man!" It's like
Right?
because he kicked his ass.
That's so funny.
The line, "We have him." No, he has us.
Yep.
And I really
Yep.
appreciated, they try and do that Hunt for Red October thing in the English version, where it's like it's supposed to be submersive, but like when you get to the French people, it's like unless you speak French, you're going to be just in the same situation that they would be. Is this is a foreign language being spoken? You don't understand any
Right.
of it, and it
Oh.
keeps it submersive in the movie that way.
Yeah, Graham, you bring up one of the holy trinity of John McTiernan films: Predator, Die Hard, and The Hunt for Red October.
That's
I
3 years of a
love
man's
those
life.
films. Yep.
Good movie.
But yeah, I definitely prefer that to them all just speaking with accents in
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's something
I
important enough that we need to understand what's going on, throw a subtitle in there by all means.
Right?
But yeah, don't make them speak English with a goofy accent or something just because. Yeah, totally down.
I'm really
There's like,
excited for Ghost of Tsushima because it's gonna be, hopefully, they said, in all Japanese.
Yup.
I really
That's
hope they
what
That's
try
how
the
I played it.
Japanese.
I played it with
Yeah,
English subtitles.
what I have
like
played, absolutely same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Ghost of Tsushima with the English for the main campaign, and then I did the Japanese dub for the DLC because I always try and support voice actors in whatever way that I can, and I really wanted to see like the English cast and the Japanese cast, but you don't always have time to do that either. So that
It
was
was
a
a
way
really
for me
long
to
game.
yeah. So that was a way for me to split it to where I could hear the Japanese version of a good chunk of characters versus the English cast.
Can we ever
Mhm.
get a good single player Predator game?
No,
Will it ever happen?
no.
I would just love a Naru and Sari
It'd
game.
be like Resident Evil 2 with,
You got
Nemesis, but it's the Predator.
you got Aliens versus Predator 1, 2, and 2011. That's all you're ever gonna get. Play those Predator campaigns over and over and over.
I love playing Alien versus Predator with friends.
The old
Playing as
school
Alien,
beat 'em
playing
up?
as Alien. Playing as Alien and because you can do like just one-on-one or even more, but playing as the alien running along the walls, you get motion sick so quickly playing as the alien.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, that early
And
2000s one I loved so
Mhm.
much, where you had the
Mhm.
three cameras
yep,
and
That was a good
racing
one.
around as the alien was so.
I looked up the quote that you guys were talking about, the where she was talking to the Frenchman and like she takes the step to the side and all of that.
Mhm.
My God, it's so good. She's like, yeah, she's like, you bled my brother, so now you bleed. You think that I'm not a hunter like you, that I'm not a threat. That's what makes me dangerous. You can't see that I'm killing you, and it won't either. She's definitely talking to both of them, not
Yep.
just the French. She's talking to both of them.
Because they both
100%.
bled Tabe. Do you know what I mean?
yep.
I'm just like, oh. And her eyes, she says so much with just her eyes in this movie when she's
Yeah.
just observing things and like the flares. It's just like, I love storytelling that comes in so many different ways that it just doesn't have to be overtly explained to us.
Again, let me go back to 10 Cloverfield Lane. I mean, there is so much subtlety in that movie with the way characters are acting when they're not doing, dialogue. It's amazing what he's able to get, out of these sequences.
Small cast again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Three people.
Yep, with a couple of side characters here and there. Some in green suits.
The guy who played Predator was 6'9".
Former
Holy.
basketball player.
The guy who played him
Dang.
before him was like 7'2".
Yeah.
And just think, that was almost Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh my
God, I
God.
forgot about that. Why'd you have to remind me?
The old Red Lobster suit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he was
Could
on
you
like
imagine?
stilted legs.
Could you
I
imagine
forgot.
if that was the movie we had gotten?
I tried and not.
Yeah.
It makes me think about Jaws, how
Yeah,
that
if we
movie-
saw the shark all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that movie hadn't have had all those problems, it would have been so different.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I even felt like this movie was like a whole tribute to the fact that Billy got done dirty and didn't even get to like show his fight with the Predator in the first movie.
Yeah.
Just
That's
get
a
the
good call.
Off-screen scream.
Mm-hmm. There was
Just like,
something
I always wanted to
about
see that.
Billy actually in the trivia on IMDb, but I don't remember what it was.
Not Comanche though.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't remember what tribe he is.
Sioux, I think.
Yeah,
Half
that was
Sioux.
like the first thing I remember looking up when I first heard that it was going to be centered around a Comanche tribe. I was like, well, what tribe was Billy from?
I started going crazy. I saw like a picture where like, she has the pouch around her neck, and I was just like, wait, Billy's got a pouch in Predator. I wonder if it's been passed down through generations, and that's why he's
So
like always coding it. I'm just like, oh man, how crazy can it get?
That would have been kind of nuts for sure.
Where is it? I'm gonna find it.
I had just read this interview with Dakota Beavers slightly before this podcast, and just his comments about the relationship between his character and his sister. You can be strong, but be an asshole. You can show strength and also be supportive. It shows in this movie. Yeah, they have their little sibling thing, but also, he's a good brother.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is, and I'm glad they didn't shy away from the way the tribe overall would have reacted to her trying to do what she was doing. Being different was kind of unheard of, and them making fun of her and trying to talk down to her to kind of quote unquote put her in her place. They didn't shy away from any of that. They left that in there. But it was nice having the brothers' support, kind of being like, I don't know if I agree with it, but I want to support you in whatever you want to do because I love you.
Yeah, the whole thing about, no, she's coming with us. She's an excellent tracker, and if we need it, she's got her medicine. Yeah. So now we got to find her.
He's like, yeah,
we got to
you
find
have to find her. Yeah,
because you
like,
have
yeah,
to.
You have to find him now. He's like, stuck my neck out for you. You got to find him.
Right.
She did.
And I like the nod. I'm sorry.
I just said it was a perfect balance.
The nod in the mom has the line that the father gave her the axe, and it's like he gave it to you to help like forage the ground, but it's an axe. So obviously, I like to try and draw this whole conclusion that the father raised both of them and taught her how to hunt and like raised her to be like strong that way. But it's all just told off screen just through an object that she's attached to for an entire movie. So it's just like little hints, like stuff like that.
In the same scene, the comment about, hey, train that dog well. Well, it's easy. He's smart. And then that immediate comment afterwards about, well, it's not always easy to train smart things. Wink, wink. You're a pain in the ass. I love you, but you're a pain in the ass.
Yep.
It's so true.
Yeah, poodles are one of the hardest, easiest and hardest to train because they are the smartest dog, but they get bored, so they don't want to listen. Sometimes smart's not always the best
Makes
thing.
sense.
Mhm.
Yep.
So, Billy, the reason why this movie was made because of Billy, because the director Dan, he was told he was too young to watch the movie, and his friends talked about this scene on a bridge where there's a showdown between Billy and the Predator. So when he finally watched it, he was like, "It wasn't in it." He's like, "I didn't see the scene." He's like, "The beginning was, the rest was cut." He's like, so he's like, "Wouldn't it be interesting if there's an entire movie like that?" That is literally why this movie was made, is because of Billy.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's
It says
that's
in
a
an interview with
real.
the interview with the Hollywood Reporter, the director Dan Trachtenberg said that Billy Soul, the Native American tracker and predator, interpreted by Sonny Lanham, who was half Sioux, and it led to the idea of his movie. He was too young to watch the film when it came out, but he heard from older kids that there was a scene where Billy stood on a bridge over a waterfall and fought the predator. But when I eventually saw the movie, that scene was not in it. Laughs. The beginning of it is, but then it cuts away. So the seed was planted, and then I thought, wouldn't it be awesome to have a movie that focuses on that character's story? And Prey isn't exactly that, but it is spiritually.
Dude, that's
So
really
awesome.
Fucking
cool.
awesome.
Billy was
That-
one of the. I think he was probably the best character in that movie. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved him. He was my favorite. I was so mad that we didn't get to see him die.
I mean, when you really think about it, like not many of the characters in that movie were likable. As people,
Yeah,
like like
They're all
Particularly Shane
killers.
Black.
They were
yeah,
all killers.
exactly.
They were mercenary type killers. They were
Yep.
bad. They were murderers, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, definitely, the woman and Billy were probably two of the best, like most good-hearted characters in
Mhm.
the movie.
Mm.
But yeah, wow, that's really cool. I wonder where it all came from then to make them Comanche, um, instead of Sioux.
Maybe geography.
Yeah,
I think also because the Comanche are just known as a warrior tribe and
Sure.
renowned for being excellent fighters. So it just
Sure.
goes into like saying like this tribe would be most well equipped to take on an alien that was coming down that is from a warrior race itself and
Yeah, I mean,
hunting.
that's true. When you think about it, like when you look at their axes, they're very much like almost like a metal casting around wood instead of like a tied together obsidian or something like that. So yeah, that could very well be. Maybe their weapons are just more durable and can be utilized for something like this, where other tribes may have weapons that would just bounce off no matter what they what they tried to do.
What
Mm.
was everyone's favorite predator weapon from the movie?
I'm waiting for someone else to go.
I'm
You know,
going
know
through
mine.
them all in
think
my
about
head.
it, the more I think about it, the staff that's able to be broken into,
Yeah.
and
broken
when
into
she
his
goes to
combi
use
stick.
it against him, it retracts before she's able to.
Yep.
And there's some gnarly kills with that thing too. Oof, yeah.
I really like the shield. I like the setup for the shield, the way that it's used multiple times as a weapon and as a shield, but also how ultimately in a way he becomes reliant on it and it doesn't end up working out for him and he
Nope,
loses a
it's used against
mandible.
him.
And I had to watch the mandible scene 3 times to figure out exactly what happened, because at first I thought it was really weird how she was able to reach up at the angle she was at, until I realized she was stabbing him in the chest and not the face.
Yes. She
So
gets him here.
she gets it, grabs him, and pulls down, and yeah, hits him in the shoulder with it, the like upper chest shoulder area, which is
Which
much
is where he
more.
was shot with the arrow, or was it the other shoulder?
Oh, I don't know.
I
It
think
may
that's
have
his. That
already
would be
been.
this.
Yeah,
The
that one was the
one-
one that was shot. His left shoulder was the one that was shot with the
Yeah.
arrow.
So she got him in the other shoulder, like a boss.
When you watch it again, at that end battle sequence, they do such a good job of setting the stage. You can even see in the background after he gets his arm cut off that it's still in the arm with like the hand down like this and the blade stuck into like the tree.
Yep, you see the
Oh
glowing,
wow.
Yeah.
basically circle of the arm there in the tree. Yeah.
And just like blood all over the background. It's so cool.
They do so many great things like that. There's some sequences like when he's skinning the snake or whatever, and
Mhm.
you like get to see it kind of through the camouflage instead of just full on. I thought that was a
Hmm.
unique way to not only censor it, but also just kind of a
Mhm.
cool shot to do. But there's so many just great panning shots and different
Just wonderful
more subtle.
staging throughout the film.
Yeah.
The when they're waiting in the tree for the big cat to come, and when it finally does swipe that snarky asshole out of the tree, and then it climbs up there, and she's squaring off on the one branch, and the cat's on the other, and it's all in profile, with just a little bit of backlighting from moonlight and starlight. It's
I
cool.
That's what it gets for talking while hunting. I mean, you're a hunter. Shut up. Just shut up. You're not supposed to talk. You're
Yeah,
literally giving away your position. Like,
yeah, you're
should know
making
better.
yourself a target. Yes.
I
Hmm.
just imagined that he was an allegory for the internet.
Uh,
Oh.
my favorite weapon. I'm going classic. I like the blades. Always have.
Mhm.
Always will. Always have and always will. Those blades are when they go
I'd
through her brother.
I'd love to know the story behind them because each predator has like a different style of wrist blade, but almost every single predator has one where it can be two shorter blades that only extend maybe 6 to 8 inches past the wrist. It can be these gigantic blades that are, like almost 14 inches past the wrist or whatever. Or it can be one gigantic blade. Like it's very interesting how many different styles of wrist blade there are for predators.
I love
But
it
yeah,
all.
that's a great choice.
Could you imagine Naru with a set of wrist blades on
Oh
in a
my
sequel? Because
god.
I can.
Yes, yes, I could.
Yeah.
How about
Oh
the
god, she gets
net?
all the
Honestly,
weapons.
yeah.
How about the net in this movie where it like went under the earth and burrowed
Hmm.
down and then constricted back upward? Oh my god.
That
It
man
was
did
like
not have a good death.
No,
no.
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 It reminded me a lot of the net scene from Predator 2 where it was like going through the column and just because it couldn't instantly cut through the column like it could through the dirt in this movie, it just ended up just going and constricting to the solid point instead of just being able to just mangle into a meatball.
Yeah. I can't think of the actor's name now. I'm totally blanking. Somebody please continue. I have to look this up.
Actor from what?
Yeah, what are we
From
talking about?
Resident Evil.
New ones or old ones?
Shit.
Mila
Welcome
Jovovich?
welcome to
No,
Raccoon
old one.
City or
Colin Salmon. His death in the first Resident Evil
Oh,
film
oh
with the
laser boy.
lasers, where he
Oh,
is basically
Cubes.
cubed.
Cubed.
That's what the net scene made me think of.
Ah.
yeah. One of the coolest digital effects for 2002, I think hands down has to go to that sequence
That
oh yeah.
little almost tear of eye goop.
of
Um,
Aigu, yeah.
Oh, the egg cube. Oh my.
There were some really interesting the early 2000s had some very interesting
oh,
horror
they got
imagery. Like
creative.
was it the cell that had the horse that was like
Yep.
quartered in the clear
Yes.
cubes?
It was sectioned
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It was one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen in my entire life. Dark, but like absolutely gorgeous. The art direction, cinematography, everything from that dress and like the
The suspension and
I
all the
love that
yeah.
movie.
The maybe only good part from Ghost Ship in the very beginning with the
Oh.
high
Mhm.
tension line that halves the entire crowd on
Entire
the
Yep.
dance floor.
crew,
Yep.
yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Carl Urban.
Wait, did Carl Urban die in that sequence?
He was in that movie,
Oh, okay.
wasn't he? Yeah.
I think
I
he
don't
was, yeah.
remember honestly.
He's in
I
that, or
watched
he's
it
in the other
again
movie.
within like the past year for
Yeah, he ate all the ham
year
out of the
or
tin, and it turned out to be
2 for
bugs and maggots.
yeah.
Carl Urban has made some very interesting decisions. Have you ever seen the movie Priest? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Carl Urban fan,
Mm.
so I've seen pretty much everything he's ever been in. I
Some
obviously
Comic-Con.
met him, or not met him, but saw him originally in Xena, where he plays not only Alexander but also Cupid. So, or not Alexander, it's Julius Caesar that he plays. Sorry, yes, it is. He plays Munder in Ghost Ship. You are 1000% correct. But man, Carl Urban, I'm glad he's doing well for himself and the boys. And
Yeah. I
check
love
out.
that he's still up to do Dread again.
Yeah, I heard
Oh
that
my god,
this past
yes,
week.
please. But he also, you guys, if you haven't watched it, is it the Sea Monster or Sea Monster, something like that? Just came out on Netflix. It's an
Oh,
animated film.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
That
He
looked interesting.
plays the
How to Train Your
main
Dragon with
lead.
Ocean.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I've heard it's really good though. Like
I enjoyed
really
it
good.
a lot. Yeah. It's always funny to hear him play a Brit because he's, from New Zealand.
Yep.
Anyway, I keep talking about other movies that aren't Prey. I'm so
Oh, that's
sorry.
fine.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'll never begrudge you, sir. I love all movies and talking about the connections and where our brains go with them.
Fun story about Carl Urban though. So Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, the scene where they're all like, all of them, were were all running towards the orcs to fight. Carl Urban
Riders
and
of
Legolas,
Rohan.
everybody. So no, when they weren't on the horses, like one of the other scenes. It's either that or Return of the King. So what happened was everybody on set, all the actors, got obliterated the night before, and were around a bonfire and got so drunk. And then the next day they were all completely hungover. Everybody was, and they had to film that scene. So they rallied, they did it, they filmed the scene, and then immediately, like Orlando Bloom, he's like went and puked in the bushes over there.
Oh my
Like
god.
the rest of us were just dead, lying down of like they didn't want to move. It was so bad. But yeah, he
good.
When he was doing the whole Comic-Con thing, he didn't let anybody record it because he's like, I'm gonna tell stories that, can't get out there, technically speaking. Like word of mouth is like one thing, but like on record kind of, yeah. So like we weren't allowed to record anything, and he just starts telling all these stories, and I'm just like, oh my god.
That's awesome.
Or how I can't remember who it was, if it was Sean Bean or Viggo Morrison, who was actually afraid of helicopters and walked up the freaking mountain to do the scene that they needed to do. He like left early in the morning and met them up there. Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, but yes, I have heard that one.
Yeah, he
And
confirmed
it.
He's like, yeah, he was
to get there.
Took him. He left crazy early in the morning and met them. He made it. Yeah, he just didn't want to get in a helicopter, which I get. They're terrifying.
Now,
Less gliding if there's a problem.
Did you have to get into helicopters because of fire stuff, or yeah?
I don't like them.
I have a friend who works for Cal Fire, and he has had to do jump training and stuff.
I've had one almost drop stuff on me without radioing it in. Like I was unbelievably angry because they're supposed to radio when stuff's happening, and this bush caught on fire. So I'm on top of my truck spraying it down because it was like an active firewall and everything this one day. And the helicopter took it upon their freaking self, came over and just dropped a bunch of water 10 feet from me, which is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
And like it nearly knocked me on my butt with like the gust of wind and everything. And I was screaming and cussing and flipping him off. And I'm like, because I had my radio right here. He did not radio it like he was going to do that. Like he didn't warn any of us. He just dropped it. And I'm just like, I was already taking care of it. What are you doing? I don't like helicopters.
Sounds like you have good reason. Oh my god.
Very validated.
Please tell me you saw the photo that Please Be Excited did with Kevin and Greg.
Yes.
Greg actually reposted that on his Instagram story.
Yes.
So Greg has seen that. And I'm sure since Greg's seen it, Kevin has also seen it and cried himself
Yep.
to sleep.
No,
Yeah.
milk mommy. Oh
Yeah.
god. Oh, when the lasers and everything with the first time he had his railgun laser thing, and like the guy's like, "What the?" Because they've never seen
Mhm.
lights like that before,
Right.
and then he got blinded by one. He's like, "Ah!"
Beautiful scene. I loved
Blinded
every
and then
moment of that.
blinded.
I also
Mhm.
liked how it split into
Yeah.
three different targets, which was something
Yep,
we'd never seen before.
that was really cool.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
When they had like the different planes of action happening where the mother is given notice about, I think we found your son, he's dead, your daughter's missing, and she's working at that hide and she's just totally breaking down.
Yeah.
That hit me much harder than I expected it to.
Yep.
For such a minor character in this film, but just again, the familial bonds in this film, they hit hard, like really hard. Um, yeah,
More so than the original. Like I love the 87 original Predator. Like
yeah,
it's one of my favorite movies all time, but you don't really get emotional attachments to any of the characters. Not in the same way that this movie like makes you get like wrapped into them and
There was
want
no
to
yeah,
see
heart.
them.
There was no heart.
Yeah.
the first movie, they are a band of brothers, so to speak, right?
Mm. Mhm.
But that's all there is. It's not like a family, and even them themselves, they don't seem to have that, you know, familial bond that we've seen in later like military films, because it was, an action film of that era.
sure.
I actually heard somebody talking about like if they just remade that movie today, it would be such a wildly different film. And you know what? I'd actually just like to see what that movie would be. Um, but same thing with the second movie. I mean, you have no familial bond at all in that movie, but there's some interesting things, such as the detective being pregnant, and some of that stuff. But they keep you so far away from a lot of those characters
Mhm.
that you don't really get to have a good bond with them. And then of course Predators is a bunch of random strangers that have to get along. And then there's the Predator, which we don't talk about.
We don't talk about it. It doesn't
Which has
exist.
family bonds, but
Yeah, the
So,
worst kinds
like
of
the worst
family
kind of
uh,
bonds.
family bonds. It's like
uh
I'm going to send space technology to my wife and child and
Unknown,
endanger them
yeah.
greatly.
when a
Unknown.
when a young boy accidentally triggers the universe's most lethal hunters to return. I didn't. I don't even remember that. I don't even remember
Yeah.
that.
So
I just
he's
remember
he's
that
off on a
particularly from
mission
the trailer.
somewhere.
I remember
He's
nothing.
he's on a mission somewhere, and he gets this technology, he finds it, and they start to like question him, the like Predator squad or whatever that was formed after Predator 2, goes to find him and find out what he knows. And then to make sure he doesn't have anything incriminating on him, he sends it to his like divorced wife's house, his ex-wife's house, with their kid. Their kid finds it in a box and starts playing with it, which then ignites a tracking symbol for the Predator to follow.
I
And
just remember there was
yeah.
big problems with that movie because somebody was a sexual harasser or something.
Shameless
Oh,
Something.
friend.
Yeah.
He was in one scene where Olivia Munn's like on a park bench with her dog, and she just gets approached by agents, and like the scene is cut short. But originally, she was going to be approached by this guy, and there was going to be this whole awkward conversation while she's just there with her dog, and like he didn't tell anybody that the guy was an accused on the lists sexual predator,
oh
and that
wow.
all erupted right before the release of the movie. And then the whole drama of like nobody was supporting Olivia because she was speaking out about it, and then one by one people kind of fell in line, and
Well,
just
it's
a whole
because
ugly thing.
I've heard she's also problematic actress, like in that area against men.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like that did not help the whole situation either. It was just a really messy thing, which already like it tarnished that film before it came out. And yeah, I just did not realize that Alfie Allen was in this and Thomas Jane. A bunch of
Yeah.
people. I'm like, Oh, I know these people.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the cast was fantastic. It's actually the
Wasted.
cast is what made me want to watch the movie. Because I'm gonna be honest, when I saw the trailer and I saw the premise, I was like, why?
Yeah.
And then I saw the cast and I was like, all right, I'll give it a chance. And I wish I hadn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It also had what's her face from Chuck. I hate her as an actress. I think she's terrible.
That was the
Yvonne
wife, right?
Strahovski.
Yeah. I think she's a terrible actress.
That was
I
that was
don't
the
mind
ex-wife.
her, but yeah, it's just not a good movie.
No. Mm-mm.
Not redeemable.
No.
If
I
if
remember
anything, they should
Keegan
learn.
was good. Keegan was good. I remember laughing with Keegan.
Yeah,
That's
he
fine.
got a couple of zingers in there for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Because he
Oh
played
yeah.
they all
So
played like mentally ill people too, from like an asylum, yeah. So he
Yes.
was like a little bit loopy, which yeah.
so the
That's all
whole
I remember.
reason I brought all of that up is because you come back to this movie, which has very strong familial ties and bonds, whether
Hmm.
it's tribal bonds, whether it's literal familial bonds, etc.
I don't understand how Predators has a 6.4. It was good.
On
And then like
IMDb.
Predator 2, yeah, and Predator 2 has it used to be a lot higher. And then after Prey was announced, everyone went back and watched Predator 2. And so all the new reviews are either like they're terrible and there's like one or two that are good.
That's so weird. I
I
don't
don't
know.
understand review bombing things with a 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Well,
Yeah.
very few things deserve a 1.
it's like whenever you go on to Metacritic and you look at the like user reviews and it's like either a 0 or a 10 and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, come on. Very
There's a
few things
scale.
are gonna get a 10. Like 8 or 9 I could get, but then you turn around and you look at the 0 and you're like, wow, okay, really? This had nothing redeemable about it?
Yeah.
Nothing at
Like
all?
this person wrote a review for Predator 2 yesterday. 4 out of 10, subpar sequel. Why are you reviewing a movie from the 80s yesterday?
with
All
a
of these.
one
August
line
12th,
review.
August 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah. August 10th, August 10th, August 9th, August 9th.
Literally just right after Prey or right before
Yeah.
Prey when they were watching the series.
5 out of 10. It did one thing right. 3 out of 10. 2022 retrospective review.
What's
Why?
interesting is Donald Glover had a lot of like a
Danny.
lot of clout. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
different.
Childish
Little
Gambino.
different.
God
Yep.
dang it.
I did that
Danny
last time.
Glover.
I did that at the during.
Yep.
Oh my god. Donnie and Danny, man. Danny Glover had a lot of clout from like Lethal Weapon and all these other movies to go into this movie, and I don't really remember any discourse. I mean, obviously I was young at the time, but I don't remember any negative discourse really about that movie at all. I'm sure high-end critics probably like what did Ebert give
I
it
wouldn't
back in
call
the
Ebert a
day?
high-end critic. He was kind
Yeah.
of the people's critic. He liked
Yeah, but I mean
most
I
things.
hated him.
he was still like
I hated
the
both
only big critic I can think of at that time period that had a vocal voice.
Siskel and Ebert.
Mhm.
I don't think
Yeah,
they
I
liked
think
the
people.
original Predator.
You know, they
That wouldn't
hated everything.
surprise
They
me.
hated Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Oh my god, November 21st, 1990. Roger Ebert, Predator 2 movie review.
Curious what he said for. Hold on.
2 out of 5 stars. Oh my god.
That's a
Aliens are like
rating.
dreams. We have bad ones when we're troubled.
What? What does that
I
even
don't
mean?
know. I don't know. I'm just gonna skip to the end here. Da-da-da. The film's greatest loss is one of spirit. We live on a speck in a corner of a vast universe, and what makes us humans is our ability to wonder about what's out there. Since we do not know, the fables we create serve only to inspire our dreams. Predator 2 is a movie whose dreams are angry and ugly.
Okay, then.
So harsh.
For Predator, he gave
Wow.
it 3 out of 5. Predator got 3 out of 5. Predator begins like Rambo and it ends like Alien. And in today's Hollywood, that's creativity. Most movies are inspired by only one previous blockbuster.
Oh my god.
Man
Just
had no joy in his life.
Yeah, people just don't like fun sometimes.
Yeah.
he did say, I've rarely seen a jungle movie look more beautiful or more convincing.
That's
That's
something.
The location
charitable,
effect
I
is on
guess.
par with Fitzcarraldo and the Emerald Forest. Well, yeah, but they also like left everything down there. They trashed it. Oh god. I've never liked Siskel and Ebert. They were always crapping on movies that are actually entertaining and going off about how amazing these Oscar-winning films are. And I'm sitting there bored out of my freaking mind. I'm like, I'm meant to be entertained. This is not entertaining. I am bored.
They gave a very charitable review to From Beyond. It's the same director as Reanimator. It's very, very goopy and strange and similarly Lovecraftian. And I was not expecting them to like this film as much as they did, but it's an interesting review.
He
I will
says,
leave it at
what?
that.
Oh god. 1. Why would an alien species go all the way to effort to send a creature to Earth just so that it could swing from trees and skin American soldiers? Or 2, why would a creature so technologically advanced need to bother with hand-to-hand combat when it could just zap Arnold with a ray gun? Did he watch the movie?
No,
He
it
did
doesn't
he-
sound like you did.
Did
He,
not
I feel like
understand
he
the
just
film.
like fast forwarded what was happening and like
Just as long as he rewound it, you know, when he
at one point in the
dropped it
movie, the
back
creature
off.
removes its helmet so it can battle Arnold mano a mano. Oh my god. And I was cynical enough to assume that its motivation was not macho pride, but the desire to display Winston's special effects.
I mean,
May he rest in
People
peace.
listened to this man. He was respected.
I mean, Winston did do a great job with that Predator.
Yeah, he did
though.
great.
Oh, yeah, he
He
did.
was amazing.
And these guys that did this one are his pupils at ADI,
Oh, nice.
Very
which
cool.
sadly sounds like it's
Oh no,
disbanding now.
it sounds like Beth has another good quote.
Students of trivia might want to note that the actor inside the Predator costume is Kevin Peter Hall, who also occupies the Bigfoot costume in Harry and the Hendersons. This guy must really be a good sport.
Wow.
Did he just shit on this man's career?
It sure sounded like it.
Like, which this is why everything's CGI anymore. There's no appreciation for the people that
Yep.
bring monsters to life.
I want to
Oh,
know
I
which-
miss practical effects so much.
One reason why the neck might be elongated is because that's where Dane's head is.
Oh, he might see
The
out of the neck.
whole monster head is on top of him. So then he said he'd had to look down and they'd set up markers on the ground for him to do all the choreography, basically blind.
Oh,
Because the whole
interesting.
thing sits on his head and he has to go like this to make it look forward.
Interesting.
Huh.
Which makes it all the more impressive that he was able to pull off all that movement. Because like you were saying earlier, like we've never seen a predator move this way.
He was fast too. He
Well,
wasn't
it
like the
does-
lumbering running. He was fast in that grass.
It does make me wonder how much of the Predator was digital and how much of him was physical.
Apparently, there was quite a
Um,
bit of digital effects for the face.
And it looks like
Even
they
though
overlaid.
they also had practical stuff. I've seen some snippets of the filming, but that I guess was a lot for post-reference. It all comes together very, very well. I love the leaping between the trees. I love the trap that Nero sets up for him with that towards the end.
I will say, the French, they acted stupid, but their trap
Oh, yeah.
was not bad. Them hiding in the dirt. I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
would have worked if it wasn't a Predator.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they didn't get all snarky about it. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta
I
finish the
love that
job.
kill where they've got him with the net, and then the arm comes up with the blade, stabs the guy through the neck and the head, stands up, pins the other guy down with the blades while the other body is still on the blades.
Oh god. Oh,
These were
That whole
some
sequence is so
great
amazing.
kills.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
I loved
rewatching
when
it.
they're sneaking up
Rewatching it.
when he's sneaking up behind them, and there's just people like falling off the horses.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
they don't even realize while they're talking
Uh,
shit.
Our brother's like, I'm gonna go get a horse. I'm gonna go get myself a horse.
Yeah, I love the
Oh,
whole
dude,
thing,
that
the story about the flood and the beaver, and then, you know, the trap cuts
Mhm.
their tether, and she's like, I'm smarter than a beaver. Come on.
Was she though? Because she got her string wet.
Yeah.
well, she learns.
She did.
She
The that
She
shot,
restrung her bow. Like,
Mhm.
and I like how they even showed that she unties it from the end with the extra string to draw it out to lengthen it to be able to retie it.
Yep.
It's like they showed how it needed to be done.
A lot of detail for sure.
Oh, that single shot where Tabe comes in on the horse and does the flying jump and then impales the predator with his own combi stick. That
Mhm.
shot is so gorgeous and jaw dropping. I was just like, and then the rest of the sequence when he's rolling around, I was just like, my God, these people put the work in.
Absolutely.
I was like, I'm so used to
The
movies now with just like cut, 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 cut. Nothing is drawn out and
Oh my
shown with
God.
choreography anymore.
Yep.
I miss it.
It's one of those things that's always bothered me. And it's probably because I grew up on like Star Trek and things that had like a very stationary let's move the camera to make the
Mhm.
cockpit wiggle sort of cinematography. But when it came to like Born Identity, like I enjoyed Born Identity, but I hated how many cuts there were between different actions. Like I also grew up on kung fu movies where the only cut was so that they could put a fist or a foot on a stick and hit somebody across the face with it. So you'd see them kicking, but then the next scene would be that guy getting hit in the face with a foot on a stick, so that they could have like real hit reaction. But every cut was meant to show you something, and I feel like somewhere that got lost for action movies. And the cuts. What who Paul W.S. Anderson. Speaking of Resident Evil, have any of you seen the new Monster Hunter movie?
No.
No.
Good, don't.
Okay.
No desire.
I
No
figured that's where you
desire.
were going, but
Mila Jovovich, I've decided after Fifth Element, no. I
it's
tried Hellboy, no, can't
it's
do it.
for the
She's
best.
bad. She
It's
is
for the best.
bad.
One
But
of two couples that make movies together.
yeah, there in Monster
Mm.
Hunter, there's a sequence where they have probably 22 cuts in a matter of like one shot, and it's
Come
literally
on.
milliseconds between cuts, and none of them are telling a story, none of them are getting to a certain point. It's just cuts for cutting's sake, and it's the worst. It's so bad. But
I still haven't forgiven him for AVP.
yeah. Yeah, speaking of Paul W.S. Anderson, Resident Evil,
Yeah,
he
that's
also directed AVP. I forgot about that until you said that.
Yep.
Oh,
Explains a lot of why that movie is the way it is.
yeah, it makes sense. Ugh.
it's interesting to me how he went from Mortal Kombat to everything else. Even the original Resident Evil is decent.
Or Event
Yeah.
Horizon.
I don't know what happened. Oh my
Oh,
god, Event
I
Horizon
love
is
Event
fantastic.
Horizon.
Yeah, how do you go from Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, and the original Resident Evil movie to every movie after that?
Beth, I know you don't like Event Horizon.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
You hate it in a good way or a bad way?
No, it was just it was one of those movies that stuck with me in a bad way. But
Yeah.
I know why. Like my brother-in-law loves it. I know a lot of people who love it for like, but it was just so bleak and dark.
Yep.
I'm just like, I can't. And then the eyes. Plus,
Yeah,
I think I was pretty young when I watched it. Like pretty young. Oh god,
now,
what it came out in 1990 something.
I imagine you
Yeah.
didn't see the unrated version or the director's cut or whatever.
I honestly don't remember. 1997.
I would
I was
doubt you've
14.
seen it.
I was
at that
14.
point. I don't remember when the director's cut came out, but I think it was early 2000s when they dropped
Yeah,
that
I
one.
saw it once right when it came out. Like the first half was like really cool, and then the second half, because like I know it's like two different movies basically put together. Like the first half, I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." The second half, I'm like, "What is happening? What is happening?"
I love
Yep.
that it gets a shout out in Thor: Love and Thunder when they're describing black holes.
Yep.
Really?
I haven't seen it
Yep.
yet.
Yep. The whole thing about folding a piece of paper
Folding a
and
piece
then
of paper. It's
piercing
like,
it
yep.
with. Yep.
Oh, that's so awesome.
That's exactly what I thought of too.
Wait, folding a piece of paper and stabbing it?
So
They did that
basically,
in
the
Stranger Things too.
Yeah.
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 Actually,
Yeah.
I think they may bring up Stranger Things in that scene as well. But yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
literally like a direct reference to the way they explain it in Event Horizon.
Okay.
so I just double checked what Dan Trachtenberg is up to next. Apparently, he is developing a TV series of Waterworld.
Oh, I'm in.
Okay, that might be really cool. Everybody hated on Waterworld. I liked it.
It's
a fun,
plenty
cheesy
fun.
movie.
It's a family fun, ridiculous movie.
What I don't understand is that movie is essentially Mad Max on the water.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how it didn't hit. Like
Kevin
I don't know.
Costner.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
This was right after he did Wyatt Earp and tried to crash and burn Tombstone. He actually tried to ruin that movie. He paid a lot of money to try to ruin Tombstone, and it blew up in his face.
Yep, because Tombstone
Good.
fucking rips.
So much
Yes, it
better.
does.
So much better.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and then like the whole like thing that he had an issue with like Waterworld and like all the things that went wrong with it. So basically, it was just doomed from the start to not
Oh,
be
yeah.
great. I mean, if none of that stuff had gone wrong, I think it probably would have done better. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see a reimagining of that world for sure. I'm a big fan of like Hokuto no Ken, which is like again similar to like Mad Max, but it's a Japanese anime take on it where he's a martial artist. Um and yeah, I love just post-apocalyptic weird movies like that.
I got one
Very
more
dim.
question about Prey. Since
Yeah.
I started it off with sequel questions. So, if you could redo it this style, another time period, what time period do you want?
Oh wow. I mean, so we were talking earlier about like pyramids and stuff. I would love to see like a South American um like ancient take on it.
Mayans,
Yeah,
Aztecs.
like where they're
Either that
investigating
or a
the
Southeast Asian
ancient
one.
Egypt. Ancient
Egypt.
Egypt. Because some of the weapons that they had. Like think about how they were like, fighting in the mummy and everything. Or like we talked about World War One or two. In the trenches.
You could always do late Edo period as well in Japan.
Yeah, that's mine. Just like go super Kurosawa with it.
Yep, because you could
So
have guns and katanas.
Well, so in Predators, doesn't the Japanese Yakuza character, doesn't he say something about like the Predator? I can't, like I'm trying to remember. Like
maybe.
I can't
like
recall it. And
in
I just saw
reference,
this movie.
Okay. That's what YouTube's for.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
I know he gets the sword on the planet
yeah.
in
Yeah.
Nolan's like hut. So like that's one of those things where the sword
Right,
gets there
and
somehow.
he obviously has the Lawrence Fishburne obviously has like the armor, right? Like he
Mhm.
obviously it's a mishmash of stuff, but I believe he does have some samurai armor mixed in with his other stuff.
We have to
Um,
fight,
But yeah, I feel like there's something that he calls the monster something like it's
yeah.
very similar to the Colombian woman from the first movie and very similar to Prey, where they all kind of have a name for this creature. So yeah, I mean that would be really cool to see. Um, it's not like Shikigami or Shinigami or something like that, but I don't know. It's just an excuse to watch Predators again.
I tried watching it the other day and I fell asleep, but because I love that movie, but I put it on TV and yeah, Hanzo. His name is Hanzo,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
does
which
Hanzo?
is a great reference to Hattori
Yes.
Hanzo, the sword maker.
Sword maker. So
What
much
does
good
Hanzo
stuff.
call him?
That guy, that's another director that
Okay.
hasn't really done anything at all.
Yeah. Because I can remember when I was watching it, I was looking up his filmography and I'm like, nope, hasn't really done much since.
No.
Is that Anton Ansel or something like that?
Nimrod Ansel or something like that.
Nimrod, that's what it was. I feel like Robert Rodriguez
Yeah.
kind of overshadowed him for that movie.
Nimrod
Maybe
Ansel.
shadow directed some of it.
Yeah.
Well, so it was his production company. It was Robert Rodriguez's production company that did all like the special effects and everything for that movie. But he's the director for sure. He
And I think
did,
I don't know why that movie got such negative reception at first.
yeah,
Everyone just wants like the same thing retreaded instead of things different. And it's like, what's the fun in that?
right. So yeah, he directed a movie called Control, Vacancy, and then Armored, and then
Is
did
Control the
Predators.
one about Joy Division? Or am I thinking of a completely different movie?
Seems like something different. It says a tale about a strange young man, the fellow inspectors on his team, all without exception, likable characters, a rival ticket inspection team, and racing along tracks, and a tale about love is what the description says here.
Oh, okay.
That's heavy.
But yeah, and then he did The Whiskey Bandit was the next movie that he did. He directed some of the episodes of The Servant, the TV series on Apple Plus or Apple TV Plus. A couple episodes of Stranger Things, but apparently has a new movie called Retribution coming out later this year. It's in post production.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Radar.
But really, like, I'd never heard of anything he had done before Predators, and then he really didn't do anything afterwards, except for recently on TV, I guess.
Yeah.
Armored was the only thing I remember hearing about when Predators came out.
I can't seem to find anywhere where it talks about what he calls them.
Okay.
They just talk about how he died and why he took off his shoes.
Okay. Yeah, that's like an honorable thing. Okay. Yeah, maybe he didn't say anything about it. Maybe I'm crazy.
No, I remember he talked to one guy because it talks about how he said he talks too much.
Mhm.
He was telling the other guy you talk too much.
Go for Grace.
Like he actually did a good job in that film.
Yeah.
He's a slime ball, so he did a good job in that film.
I want to stay here with the other monsters. And that cast, they all went on to do amazing things. Walton Goggins, Mashallah Ali, just like Danny Trejo had already been around.
Oh yeah.
Alicia Braga.
Adrian Brody. Always loved Adrian Brody.
I like Adrian Brody a lot. I just didn't understand why he was covered in mud. It just comes out of nowhere. It's like, I get that you're using a fire thing. Why do you got the mud on too?
Because
have you ever seen The Jacket?
Wait, no. I wanted to see it, and I never actually watched it, but I know what movie you're talking about.
It's good with Keira Knightley. It's a mind trip of a movie. It's good. I like it. It came out around the same time, I think, like Butterfly Effect, and so everybody was kind of into that stuff.
Oh yeah. I do remember that.
It's good.
It's a straitjacket thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember seeing pieces of that, but not watching it from like beginning to end. Just only catching
good. I would watch
portions.
it. I liked it a lot. It's a very one of a kind kind of deal. Like it took pieces from different movies, like this Christopher Reeves movie and like these other little films, and it kind of combined it into its own like thriller type film. Yeah, well, not exactly thriller, but like, yeah, it's good. I liked it. Keira Knightley did really good too. Yeah.
I like Keira Knightley because of Pride and Prejudice is like my best comfort movie.
Oh God,
that adaptation is so good
So
and does
good.
not get the love it deserves.
There's a guy on TikTok who compares the original. He compares scenes and he shows the scenes of why the new one is so much better. And he like reads he is some kind of like he knows
People
his
just
stuff.
had
I forget what he.
nostalgia from the miniseries, I
Mhm.
think, and that's why they shat
It's
on
always
Yeah.
the Joe
it's
Wright version. But his
The
movies are
newer
so
one's more accurate to the books as
beautiful.
well, in my opinion. Anyway, like the
Yeah.
way the shots are conveyed and done, like that one scene, the one shot scene. Oh, that was so
I never read Pride and Prejudice, only Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
How was that?
The book is fantastic. It's basically the original Jane Austen book with zombie action sprinkled in.
Zombies, yeah.
Oh my God.
same
I
same person
remember
who wrote that wrote Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, right?
Mhm.
I read
Yes.
that one.
Seth
I read
Graham
that
Smith.
one.
Yeah.
I liked that one.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So the
That
jacket
was the
isn't streaming on anything. You can only rent it or buy it.
Oh,
But
it's good.
it's a pretty cheap buy, even at $10, $3
Yeah.
for a
Probably
rental
find it at Walmart or something like that
in
online
a
for like
dollar bin or something. Yeah.
yeah. Target's getting rid of all our DVDs. They're phasing them out.
Uh,
Not a
Yep.
good sign for physical media.
no.
Target's getting rid of a lot of things. They're changing into a like home decor store type deal. They're getting rid of a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
It's
I don't know,
not
they
the
got
same
a
Target
very
anymore.
large wall of Aliens and Predator action figures. If you ever walk into a Target lately, they got
Yeah.
tons of that shit.
I'm gonna have to go shopping.
Yep, just saying.
Because you know.
Yeah. Huh?
I don't actually have any Predator stuff.
I did a long time ago. They're probably in the late 90s or early aughts. I
This
got
is the
a
only
box
thing with
set
claws that I have.
that X-23.
X-23.
Yeah.
Laura Kinney.
I saw a lot of people saying they want Amber Midthunder to take up X-23 in Marvel.
That'd be dope.
The thing
Please.
is, though, that they can just recast the girl from Logan. She's old enough now. She's
That's true.
filming
Exactly.
the
Yeah,
Golden
Death the
Compass.
King.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed the hell out of that show on HBO.
dude, I am so excited for the last season because it's the last book. Each season is a book.
Yep.
I still have that book. I loved it, and when they came out with that movie, I was like, "This is terrible." They casted so well for her mother, though, in the show. Oh my god, she's from Luther.
Oh, Luther. Yes.
God. Though
Yes.
her
Also, more
updated
Luther,
lips
please.
were very distracting. Her
Yeah.
updated lips
Yeah.
were distracting. She had duck face, and I was just like, I get like doing that. Cool, you do you, but it's just distracting how you're talking now because I can't understand sometimes when you're speaking.
I lied.
Nice.
I also have the Alpha Predator
Nice.
from the NECA series for the video game.
Yeah, I wanted the Jungle Hunter. I asked for it for Christmas this year from my wife.
Nice. Yeah, I got this because it was the only way to get the DLC at the time, right? And then of course it came out later for purchase, but it's still it was a worthwhile purchase. I really like the design of the ancient looking Predator with all the bone claws and sword and everything.
And paying homage to Van Damme's.
That would be cool. If we did get a Predator even farther back in time, either in like Aztec or Mayan or Egyptian or whatever, or even like samurai type era, would they have lesser technology like bone instead of blade kind of deal, or like could we get like something cool like that?
Yeah, so just to say, everything on this Predator is bone related. Like its armor and chest piece is like a rib cage from something that it killed. Its claws are clawed tendrils from something that it killed. It's got like a sickle. I don't. You probably can't see it, but it's got like yeah, you can see it right there. It's got a sickle.
Okay.
That's like a bone sickle. Every single weapon that it has, its spear is made out of a jawbone from something that it killed.
That's cool.
So
Endless
Now I'm having
possibilities.
flashes of her brother grabbing the wolf.
But yes, Prey, very good movie.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Well,
I did not expect it.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. When I knew it was going to be on a streaming platform, of course, bit of trepidation there, right?
I was so worried about the special effects. Like, even one of the reviews even one of the reviews, be like the pre-screening, like they got to see it at the whatever screening theater it was in at Comic-Con. They were talking about how the CG just didn't hold up, and I don't know if it's because we saw it on a TV and they saw it on a theater screen, but I didn't really see anything that I thought was just crazy bad or anything.
Yeah.
That might be an instance of careful what you wish for, because we're all like, oh yes, 4K disc, please. And maybe
Yeah.
we get that and wish that we hadn't. Is that
I could always watch it on my
possibility?
dad's 4K TV or something. Because they do have 4K streaming with Hulu now, don't they?
They
I
label it
do
as
that.
4K with HDR, but I'm
Mm.
like my Hulu, and I have a good internet connection. Like every once in a while, it'll buffer out, and that's
Yeah,
why I still just love physical.
streaming
Yeah.
4K is so hard because of the bit rate and just
Yeah.
how much internet connection can affect the picture quality, and whether it's auto tuning to like 1440 instead of 4K. So
Mm.
yeah, give me that disc.
Mm.
I don't have to worry about
Absolutely.
it. Give me that disc.
I mean, even watch the movie. I'll just watch the special features and commentary
Oh,
tracks
God,
over and over
yes.
again.
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
Like I want deep dives. He keeps dropping nuggets on Twitter, and I'm
I
like,
I miss it, man. I miss it so much. I miss being able to sit there like Free Guy recently. My wife bought me the Blu-ray for that, and I got to deep dive into that movie. Like it's a fun movie. I wouldn't say it's like the best movie in the world, but it was so much fun to like watch the special features on that and how they made like the big version of Ryan Reynolds and everything.
Your wish has been granted. Comes out in November on Blu-ray.
Cool.
What? When was this announced?
I don't know. I just looked it up. I just Googled it. I'm like, is Prey coming out on DVD? They said Prey DVD release is set for November 14th, with Blu-ray available the same day as the DVD release.
Okay.
Prey digital release from Amazon Video and iTunes should be available 1 to 2 weeks before the Blu-ray with 4K releases.
Okay.
So I don't know. It says, but like, this is on DVDreleases.com. Was the first thing that popped up, and it's not an ad either. So,
I'll do the cautiously optimistic approach.
and Blu-ray.com says, yeah. Blu-ray.com also says it.
Nice fast turnaround. I like it.
Let's see. Yeah, I if they do it on Blu-ray. Yep, Blu-ray release is expected to be announced later this year.
That's awesome.
That's from Blu-ray. Yeah. This is so cool. I wonder if they're gonna have like a Predator box thing, and then we have to actually own the Predator.
I already got stuck in that because I bought the 4K collection of all the previous movies. So it's like I've watched Predator, Predator 2, and Predators, and I just don't take that out of the case.
It's in mint
The
condition.
Predator just stays.
Unless they're gonna do a
Maybe
bad
I'll
movie
put
night.
Prey in there.
Oh my god. Ugh. Well, it's
Wait.
been 2
Yeah,
hours.
it's been a couple hours. We should probably wrap this up before too long. Beth, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch, Lady MacBehth. So it's LadyMacBehth, because I have a weird spelling.
Graham, where can people find you?
You can find me being a nerd on Twitter at G_bomb82. Just being a dork and probably liking way too much Philadelphia Sixers stuff.
Works. That works. Phil, I'm sure nobody can find you anywhere. No, seriously, where can
Nope.
people find you?
You can find me at Phil J Woodward or at Phillip J Woodward, pretty much anywhere. 2 L's.
Cool. With all the super fun, simply sassy stuff that seems to have been on a little bit of a hiatus. What's going on there?
Yeah.
He also designs.
Yes, he does.
Did you see the sketch of Nadu that I have up?
I
No.
did.
I'll
but
DM it to you.
Did it
Very
get
cool.
retweeted by Trachtenberg yet?
Nah, no, I'm hoping the final version will though.
All right, sweet.
Cool.
But
Well, folks, you can
I'll,
find me on YouTube at Murders with Mertens. Don't have that custom link yet. Working on that. About halfway there. But all in good time.
SimplySassyVids.com, you know?
Yeah. So I guess that just about wraps it up. I have no idea what to call this. The Prey cast, the Prey spoiler cast. I don't know. We'll figure that out in post. But yeah, have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night.